Hi guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a fabulous day. And I just thought I'd hit record. I was actually making another video which will be up in a week or two about Stockholm, but I was doing a search and all these bits for underground in Barcelona came up. So I thought we'd just have a bit of a look at what is underground in Barcelona. It says there's the world's extensive subterranean catacombs, and look at this. Look at the size of that arch. Now, I would say this floor looks very high for this kind of an arch. Look how thick it is. This one too. Look at these massive. I mean, this is almost what you would see inside a cathedral, isn't it? Something that's above ground. And here we have tunnels in a line. Again, everything's symmetrical, and we see this just so often. And as you can see, they've run all their electrical cables everywhere to get light in there. So, you know, what's the deal there with light? If this was built underground, how did they get light in there if there was no electricity back there? Or was it once above ground? And you can see here a bit of the plaster coming off, and I don't know, is that a bit of redness there? A bit of brick maybe? Who knows? So this is a travel blog. The world's most extensive underground Roman ruins. So why the Romans were building underground, I am not exactly sure. And here we get these ruins. The city best known for the genius of Antoni Gaudi's modernism architectural style, undulating walls, colourful chimneys and eye-catching building facades designed with nature's image in mind, it's often easy to overlook the city history. Museums' fascinating glimpse of Barcelona's past in what was once the old Roman city known as Barcino. Okay, so the Romans we know were invented. Spain was more territory. As you can see this shape here, that's very Moorish. We're told these days it's Islamic, but the root of it is the Moorish civilization. That kind of shape. Also the onion sort of shapes, you know, and we relate it now a lot to the Middle East, but that's not where it originated from. And you'll see this stuff. I mean, you'll see the onions in Russia and all over the place. But yeah, basically there's all this stuff underground. Surviving Roman columns. So why is everything underground? What is going on here? You know, we see this all over the world. Crypts and catacombs. Wow, look at this. That looks like the cathedral. The Colosseum actually. The Colosseum in Rome has, like, it's got a fake floor, and underneath it's full of all these compartments and bits and pieces which we're told were built for the gladiators, and they were, you know, cages for all the animals they were going to kill and all this kind of stuff. And that's what it is, the Colosseum dungeon. So as you can see, there used to be a fake floor across there, and this is all underground. So again, has this been buried, or was this an underground floor? And if it was underground, how were they lighting it and doing all this kind of stuff? Because, you can imagine if they were cages that they tell us that were just, to keep animals and gladiators in, and there was no electricity, not really any ventilation or plumbing, it would be pretty disgusting down there, feeding animals and cleaning up after them. It doesn't, for people who can build something like the Colosseum, for them to just, forget about what's going on underneath and to just have it all in squalor and sewage, basically, just doesn't make sense at all. You wouldn't go to all this effort, and this is just designed so well and with so much geometry in it. The story they give us is it just doesn't make sense at all. It does not add up. When we find all this stuff and it's just the Romans. Just the Romans hanging out, building stuff underground. And again, see these pillars, how they go up and they come out in 4 directions, and each direction goes into a different arc. That is not easy to do. That is amazing architecture. And again, you'll see here on the walls, red brick. And this is all underground. And of course, it's all attributed to the Romans. The Romans just went everywhere, right? And they just built all this stuff underground. Roman subway construction uncovers possible mass grave. So that's actually in Rome, I think. But we have all these things, and then we have all these other, things like these arches that just look like they are just too short, and they just don't make sense by themselves, but would if they were part of a bigger structure. And the thing about Romans is, we're told in, the books of his story that, the Romans were around only a couple of thousand years ago. So why is everything underground? Why do, it's, you see it a lot in Great Britain. All these Roman buildings and, attributed to Romans underground. Old bathhouses and stuff. How did they get covered up? In just that short time, we're told geologically that that's a short time, a couple of thousand years, not a lot happened. But really? It doesn't make sense, does it, that we have things like this standing above the ground? I mean, look at that. All these, bits of ruins that look, there's probably more of them underground. And we're told it was just all built by this Roman civilization, and then for some reason half of it's underground and half of it's on top of the ground. The stories just don't add up at all. Apart from the fact that you can see this, I'm not sure, that's not the Parthenon, so I'm not sure where this one is. But, we've got the Parthenon as well, and there's one in Texas. Is it Texas? It might be, maybe it's not Texas. But it is in the USA. There's another one, full size, full scale, replica is what they're calling it. But the exact same building in the USA. This is Italy, so it's somewhere in Italy, but it's not. So there's more of one of the Parthenon just in Italy. And you just put this, and there's just stuff under the ground everywhere. This is London. Red brick again, buried.
We all know that we're being monitored online and that massive data mining is being done by governments and private corporations. So how do you protect yourself and your information from prying eyes? Well, I use Virtual Shield, and it's a downloadable program that works on your computer and your phone, and it will protect you from any nefarious activity and people trying to get your information and your internet history to put onto their databases. And if you click the link below in the description, you'll get your first month free. and also save up to 75% off your first year and get full protection from just $3 a month. And with what's going on at the moment, guys, your personal privacy and protecting your personal information is more important now than ever. So click the link below and get signed up and get protected from just $3 a month.
So what bury everything? That's obviously one of the big questions when we're looking at this kind of stuff and mud flood. And obviously one theory is, we have all these stories of the flood, what's termed as the biblical flood or Noah's flood. It's written in, I think it's over 1,500 stories from around the world mention the flood. Now, we have things like the Ice Age ending and ice melting from the Arctic that could drop a lot of water into the ocean, that could cause tidal waves and things, could raise the sea level, and of course if the sea level rose with, tsunamis and tidal waves, it would go onto the shore, push all the dirt everywhere, all the rocks, bury things, and then withdraw. That's one scenario that may have happened. Another one may be, we've got liquefaction as well. The problem I find with liquefaction is when you look at it, things, tend to fall on angles. But saying that, we don't know how big the foundations of these buildings are. If they're big enough, then they probably wouldn't tilt. But this is all stuff to be looked at, of course. There's also the theory of lakes bursting from above and bringing the dirt down from above. And just a bit on the aqueducts. Again, aqueducts, we're told, Romans, Italy, but these are found throughout South America, throughout Europe, everywhere basically. And the story in Rome is that the aqueducts were built by the Roman soldiers at night and on the weekends in their time off. When they weren't soldiering, they were constructing aqueducts, these things, with no equipment. They don't talk about the industry again. We know the story. And that's just what they tell us. Just in their spare time they whacked up all the aqueducts in Italy. This is an ancient Rome Colosseum. So they tell us. And I'm not sure where this is, but this isn't the Colosseum, the Colosseum, I don't think. But again, an identical structure. Where is that? Let's have a look, because it doesn't look like the one in Rome. Ancient Rome. Oh, what you can expect during your visit. Face mask required in public areas. It doesn't really say. But that doesn't, to me, look like the Colosseum. But it's saying Rome, Italy. So who knows, it might just be a funny angle. But again, just look at the amount of bricks and stonework and mortar that we see just in that picture. You don't just go around and just sort of decide to whack one of them up if you don't have if it's not easy. You just don't. So here's another, this is what we find everywhere. This is England, I believe. More tunnels underground, always with the arched roofs. Underground Rome private tour by car. So are they saying that this is underground? And this, I've mentioned this before. See that half dome going into this half column that's carved out? You see statues in this on the front of buildings all the time. So what is that? Is that some kind of representation? Like, is it kind of like a cartouche. You know what a cartouche is? They're Egyptian, and it's they used to write their names and things in cartouches, which was basically just like an oval sort of shape, a flattened out oval shape. And so is this sort of the container, and then whatever the statue is inside, obviously this has been refurbished and refaced and redone. But on the original ones, were they telling us what buildings were for and what different functions were? Because Martin Liedtke has had a look and talked a bit about the angels on different temples and churches and cathedrals may represent, electricity or magnetism, different types of energy. And then we have all the gods that are obviously attributed with different types of, what we're now finding out of different types of energy and different types of maybe tech. So are these shapes, these half dome that go into a cylinder thing, are they telling us what these buildings were for, what their function was? Don't know, let me know in the comments. It's just something I've been noticing a lot and been thinking about. It's not random that these shapes are everywhere and that they all have statues in them when they're outside. So these probably all had statues in them as well originally. Alright, so like I said, I just turned the recorder on because I just thought looked like there was some interesting stuff here. So I hope you found it interesting. Just a short video. Here's some ancient ruins. Jerash City in Jordan. Jordan, of course, covered, things carved into the stone, or is that actually buildings that have been covered by mud? But here you can see the size of this person and the size of the steps they're walking up. And of course, just everywhere, the same architecture, same columns, the florid-y things on the top of the columns. Everything, it's all the same all over the world. We know the deal. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Just a quick little walk through a bit of, ancient buildings, buried buildings, things like that. So thanks for spending some time with me. Have a marvelous day, and I'll catch you on the next upload. Bye for now.